In this video, I want to talk about solving algebra problems that have two steps. Now, in a previous video, I talked about solving a single step and just always thinking about the opposite. And here you can see that we have, in this case, two things being done basically to x. We have an x that we first of all multiply by 2. We would double it, and then we add 5. So we've got two steps. We've got a multiplication, and we've got an addition. And we talked about how we need to always do the opposite. So I hope that right away you can say, well, this plus 5, the opposite would be a minus 5. This multiply by 2, I have to divide by 2. What is sometimes tricky here is deciding, well, which comes first? And basically you have to go in kind of the reverse order of what would happen if I gave you an x. So for example, if I defined a function, I said f of x is equal to that 2x plus 5, and then I said, well, what's f of 2? You could say, okay, so it would be 2 multiplied by 2. I just put a 2 in for x, plus 5. So you do 2 times 2, add 5, you get 9. So notice that the multiplication was done first, and then the addition was done last. We do it in the complete opposite. So our first thing that we will do here is we will subtract the 5, like that. And remember, you're always trying to get it down to x, so, 2x plus 5 minus 5 is just 2x. This would be 14. And now, of course, we're down to that single step. We'll divide both sides by 2. That's the opposite of multiplying. So x equals 7, like that. Okay? Now, over here, I've got x divided by 3 plus 4 is equal to negative 4. Again, I know that I've got a division, so the opposite of that is multiply. I know I've got an addition, so the opposite of that is subtraction. And we kind of have to think about this like, well, what if I had an x? Well, if I gave you a number for x, I said, hey, x is 9. You'd say, all right, so 9 divided by 3 is 3, and then add 4. So we go in the opposite order. Since the add 4 came second, it's going to be the first thing we undo. We're kind of undoing in exactly the opposite order. Well, 4 minus 4, of course, is 0. So then I've got x divided by 3 equals, got to be careful here, negative 8, negative 4 minus 4. And then, of course, to undo a division, we multiply. So we have x equals negative 24, like that. So you will always do the opposite, and you just have to reverse the order. Let's do one more. And if this video helps you, please like and subscribe for more algebra, geometry, calculus help. All right. So we've got a multiplication. We've got a subtraction. Now, you'll get the hang of this and realize that if you have an addition or subtraction, that's the first thing you're going to undo. So I'm going to add 7 to both sides. I purposely made this one not work out real pretty either. Negative 3x. Now, negative 15 plus 7 is negative 8. And then we're going to divide both sides by negative 3. And I wanted to take this opportunity to talk about how we give our answers. Now, obviously, whatever your teacher says is what you should go with. I personally like fractions. I would just like to say, okay, now a negative divided by a negative is positive, so I would just say x is equal to positive 8/3. Sometimes you'll see people want that as like a mixed number, where they say, well, 3 goes into 8 2 times, and then there's 2 left over, so they might write it as 2 2/3. That would be the same as 8/3. And of course, other times you'll see people say, well, that if I type that in my calculator, I get 2.6 repeating. Or they might even say, well, just round it. I'm going to put kind of an approximate sign here for the rounding that might say, approximately 2.67 or something like that. But important to note that, pay attention to what your teacher wants. You could have an improper fraction. That's where the bigger number's on top. You could write it as a mixed number where you say, well, 3 goes into 8 2 times, because 2 times 3 is 6, but then I still have 2 left over. Or type it in your calculator, and you'll notice it's a repeating decimal. or give an approximation to however many decimals you're instructed to use. Again, if this video helped you, please like and subscribe.